fake news, Milo's views, and Katy Perry's big balloons. Coming up today on The Point. Hello and welcome to The Point, the only talk show bringing gay and straight men together to see what happens.
I love how that pause gets bigger and bigger and bigger every week. It's gonna be like a 12-minute fucking gap by the end of the season.
To see dun, 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 what happens.
Today is an exciting day here at The Point because we are welcoming our brand new co-host, stand-up comedian, Jim Kim.
Hey!
Thank you. Thank you.
I thought he told you to stand up.
I know, I thought that too.
Wow. It's almost as bad as Fred.
Thank you.
Actually, tell us, you got into stand-up comedy in sort of an unusual way.
Yeah, well, I was bartending at the time at the Second City, and then we had like a talent show for all the staff, and somebody's like, are you gonna do anything? And I'm like, yeah, I sling drinks and maybe fix computers. And they're like, well, you should do something. And so I did stand-up, and supposedly it went over well. And so the next year I was actually asked to do it again, and then somebody's like, my friend runs the Laugh Resort. Do you want to do a set there? And then it just sort of went from there. So I literally just fell into it.
So the pressure's on. You're going to have to make us laugh.
Oh, God. No, I'm not a trained monkey for anybody.
Today is also an exciting day because somebody just had a birthday. Tito!
Happy birthday!
Now, are you willing to tell? It's a milestone birthday. Are you willing to tell us?
45.
60. It was my dirty 30. I went to Vegas and it was litty like a titty.
So it was dirty 30
like a titty.
Now, what was the best part of Dirty Vegas?
Britney.
You saw Britney.
You saw Britney?
Actually,
I mean,
yeah.
okay.
I saw Britney. But I also
Oh my god, dude.
I did this VR thing that was so cool too. Like VR like experience.
Oh,
like
a virtual reality.
Yeah, it was.
Britney had a VR
So you didn't
concert?
actually go to Vegas?
I did.
Like the whole thing was just a virtual.
Shut up. Yeah, I just did, and I went to Sugar Factory. It was awesome. It was just like a really good trip.
Is this a place where they make
that's
sugar?
How long were you there?
Just a weekend, like Friday to Monday.
That's all you need in Vegas,
Yeah.
really. Yeah,
So
any more
It
than
was
that.
so fun.
Yeah, no.
And you remember all of it, right? You remember the entire weekend, right?
Did you actually?
I blacked out the first night.
Oh, okay.
So
And then ended up back in Toronto.
yeah, the first night did not go well.
Are you sure you weren't just in Oakville?
Okay, guys.
Oakville.
Well, speaking of Britney Spears, this brings us to talking point number 1, big balloons. Okay, so Ellen DeGeneres and her wife, Portia de Rossi, and their friend, Katy Perry, were at a party together. A photo was taken of, and I actually have the photo here, a photo was taken of Ellen kind of...
Fred, can you get a lower resolution picture next time?
Yeah, this is too much. I honestly feel like I'm there.
So she's ogling Katy Perry.
That's not a recent picture.
This is from a while back.
Okay, well, she just tweeted it.
Well, let's not sabotage the whole show, Tito. Let's let Fred
Sorry,
do
I'm
his
like,
job.
she wore that green dress ages ago.
Well, maybe she wore it again. She just tweeted the photo.
Okay.
And the tweet said, it's time to bring out the big balloons, which is, of course, a reference to Katy Perry's song, Birthday.
I'm seeing her tonight.
Oh,
Portia de Rossi?
Ellen DeGeneres?
Katie!
Oh.
But, of course, in light of all the sexual harassment allegations that have come out as of late, people are saying that this is also sexual harassment.
Because she's a lesbian?
Well, because it's objectifying Katy Perry. And somebody tweeted, if a white straight man did this, he'd be nailed to the wall. So my question for everybody, and I actually wish Leah Abrahams was here to give us the female point of view, and I'm curious actually to our female viewers, write into us, thepointguys@gmail.com. I'm curious, is this photo an example of sexual harassment?
Do we start this way and go that way?
But what if a white male was doing it to another guy? Like, is that sexual harassment?
Well, I don't know. I'm asking you.
I feel like we should probably understand that, and it's going to be difficult to talk about these things without the internet jumping to like conclusions and making it seem like we're saying things that we're not. Harassment is a horrible thing and should not ever exist. It should not be in any work environment and should not be in a public environment either. There's a difference, though, between trying to eliminate sexual harassment and eliminate all human sexuality. Right? And human sexuality and things like that are always going to be there, and it's always going to be a driving force in everything that we do as a species, as a whole. But
You want to get it on.
you know, the problem is when people provide unwanted advances, when they use positions of power to make people feel like they are required to do things they don't
And that's
want to
a key
do,
word in this
and
picture,
all of that.
like
this is
unwanted.
clearly
Staged. Like she
well,
was
not
like,
only
yeah, let's
staged,
do
but
it.
they're also friends.
even still, they're
exactly.
They know
friends,
each
yeah.
other.
around,
Like if I
yeah.
was to be like, "Hey, Ori, happy birthday, nice dick."
Yeah.
Like
But that's
he wouldn't.
harassment.
Or be like,
You know what I mean? It's a different.
birthday, nice
It's a
butt.
different thing because I'm not saying it's your birthday. Like I'm gonna touch you, or you have to do things to me, or make him feel uncomfortable. It's not a thing about a position of power, and it's not an unwanted advance. So there's still always going to be people who are going to be able to have fun and joke around with their friends and things like that in a nature that's not intended to be a negative harassment thing. If Katy Perry said that this was harassment, 100% it's harassment.
Yeah.
No question at all.
It's Katy
But
Perry's
it's
call.
not her
It's
saying it. Other
context.
people can't decide that.
Right?
It's context, absolutely.
It's context, and if you look at the context, or if you know the context of this photo, they're all really good friends. She's doing a wordplay based on Katy Perry's song, right? Katy Perry is
Welcoming it for promotion.
welcoming it and is cool with it. So why is somebody else taking the torch from Katy Perry and saying this is an issue that?
on behalf of
On
Katy
behalf of
Perry,
Katy Perry, I'm
being
offended.
harassed. No, you're not.
Yeah.
She has
You cannot
agency, she
take
can
someone
speak.
else's
Well,
sexuality
And
from.
Ellen DeGeneres doesn't have any power over her. There's nothing on the line in terms of her career. There's
Well, here's a question I have. Because you said, what if a guy was doing it to another guy? I mean, I think if another talk show host, if Dr. Phil were doing this to Katy Perry, I think we would have a
There'd be
different
an
reaction
issue.
to
Several other questions.
the mustache thing.
oh god.
Is it different if it's two women or two men versus a man and a woman?
I think it's the only time it's different is how power is different and how consent and permission is different. Like we can gender it all that we want if it's a white man, if it's a black man, blah blah blah. But I feel like if you don't feel threatened by the advance, or you feel like you were given a choice, or you can opt out of the interaction altogether without having any negative consequences happen to you, then I don't think you can feel harassed. If there's literally nothing at stake for you from this, and you think it's funny, you can't say it's sexual harassment because you're not affected by it and you think it's funny. But if someone who can have an impact on you, and your decision to say you like or dislike this has an impact on you, on your career, how much money you make, your relationships, blah, 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 then it's like, okay, you're in an awkward position because you have to choose between receiving this joke or whatever and, you know,
Or
what's on
even
the other
if there
side
aren't
of the
any
scale.
stakes, even if it's just in your personal life and you just don't want it.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That's
Like it
exactly-
doesn't even have to be anything
Power,
professional
consent,
or whatever.
yeah, the second
it's just
that thing
it's straight
is
up just the
consent,
consent.
yeah.
Exactly. You know.
And again, it comes down to the context, right? This is between friends, right? If it was a stranger, whether it be female or like if it wasn't Ellen, if it was somebody that Katy Perry didn't really know, then of course the whole context changes and the whole meaning of it changes, right?
Context,
So it's like
relationship, the whole
yeah,
thing.
like I can play softball and pat my fellow players like on the bum or something, right? But the context is
all the
it's
time.
within sport. It's not sexual in nature, and there's no power dynamic or anything. And whether it's male or female, mostly I do it to males, but whatever. And that's just because of comfort. That's because of comfort,
Duly noted.
right? Because it's permission, right? Like there's just sort of like a permission that's given. Whereas females, you do have to sort of tread a little lightly with the opposite
Here's
sides.
it. We need to move on, but I'm curious from the straight guys if you feel like your behavior has changed because of the current climate around this issue.
But you know what I was thinking about?
They're also not
there
scumbags.
has been-
No, I know you're not scumbag.
Mine has over the years because I was one of those.
Yeah.
I will
Thank you.
fully admit this, and I am super embarrassed about it. But I was one of those catcalling construction guys back in the day because I did not know better, and that's just how it was, unfortunately, which is ridiculous.
Compliment,
But I mean, like,
Did you whistle?
I didn't whistle, but I mean, like, I would be like, hey, what's up? I would go talk to them, obviously, but I would just like talk to them, but I would like
you're
beat
getting
my
a
like backhoe horn at them and stuff like that, which is just super ridiculous. So I'm so sorry.
You
about
called them
that.
a backhoe? What?
He would beep his horn
Yes.
when
I
they're
would
passing by.
My backhoe, like my machine that I was.
But
using.
you're forgetting a very important
Back
point
that
is
hoe up.
you're attractive.
Yeah, well, that's a whole other issue.
That doesn't make a
I
difference,
mean,
doesn't it? No, guys.
There's-
Doesn't matter how attractive you think you are or how attractive I think you are.
Well,
Don't harass anyone.
there's no change either, because one of the things, just real quick, and we can move on, but one of the things I was thinking of is like there have been times in the past where you are sort of thinking like, it's so frustrating to see other people, making these advancements and personal relationships or whatever. I mean, I'm very muddying this because I haven't really thought it through, so whatever. But it's really kind of nice to see that people get their comeuppance. You know what I mean? These scumbag dudes who treat women like objects and treat them like they're
Like
less
Harvey
than people, like Harvey
Weinstein.
Weinstein and all these other people you're hearing about. It's really kind of great to see them, get what they deserve and be ousted from society, from professional organizations
Jane Fonda
and things
had
like
an
that.
amazing point about this. Can I get a little point?
okay.
She said, this has been happening forever, but it's only getting attention because it's happening to rich white women. Dun, dun,
Bam,
dun.
another one for that.
Jane Fonda is woke.
Jeez, hashtag Jane Fonda is woke.
Hashtag Jane Fonda is woke.
Well, I'm not sure the segue of this is. You can make up your own
Jane Fonda
segue.
music video.
But Milo Yiannopoulous.
Oh, fuck that guy.
No, thank you.
No, well, that's...
No, thank you.
So if you don't know who he is the right wing's favorite gay guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's the right wing's favorite twink, and he is back on the road promoting his views. And he was recently in Australia, and he did an interview on News Corp Australia, which is owned by the Murdoch Company, which owns Fox News and all that stuff.
I thought News Corp was the Murdoch company.
Yeah, it's the same. Yes. But he claims that Ellen DeGeneres, speaking of Ellen DeGeneres is part of a cover-up surrounding the recent Las Vegas shootings.
I feel like we almost shouldn't talk about this because it's so stupid
And
and
it's
it's
because-
propagating this bullshit. That,
Well, and it's because, like, Ellen had the security guard from the hotel on the show, but this is actually part of Milo is the latest person on the right to talk about this, but InfoWars, Alex Jones, we've talked about him before on the show.
Turning the frogs gay.
Yeah.
I would love it if frogs were
They
gay.
claims that
know a couple.
InfoWars claims that Ellen is complicit because there is a slot machine bearing Ellen's likeness at the Mandalay Bay casino where the shooter was.
Oh my god, I totally played that in
That's
Vegas.
like
by the way.
saying.
That's
you
like
know,
saying that I
there's
was
a
responsible for it because I ate a
chicken-shaped-
steak and they
Yeah,
serve steak in the
shaped slot
restaurant
machine
at
and
the
somebody dropped
fucking
their
whatever.
Just because of
Okay,
the slot
okay.
machine?
That's what InfoWars is saying.
I
So
perfectly
is
see the
Britney,
logic.
so is like everybody who has
Celine
the freaking
Dion.
thing there. Like,
Yeah.
I bring this up you're all going to say this is ridiculous, right? But the reason why I think it's important to bring up is if we don't know what they're saying, because Milo Yiannopoulous and Alex Jones have followings, and there are people who listen to what these people have to say
And believe every word.
and
they
believe
say.
every word. So we can dismiss it and say, "Oh, that's crazy."
So your point
But
is
I
about
think
the bubble.
we have to know
You
what's
gotta
being said on the
penetrate
other
bubble,
side.
guys.
Of course.
Pop that shit.
Pop that bubble.
I would say
stay
hashtag
tuned.
penetrate the bubble.
Hashtag pop that bubble.
No, penetrate the bubble.
Penetrate it, yeah, and hopefully pop it.
Well, speaking of
Yeah. I mean, otherwise you're just too smooth.
speaking of penetrating the bubble, it's time for Tito's midpoint.
Hey.
We did not get into that.
okay, Bubbles, we are playing a game this week. It's pretty much Would You Rather, so everyone's gonna just pick one and choose one or the
Are
other.
we all just...
I hope this is a little bit
Everybody pick
racier
one
than
and then we'll
before.
read?
They're
Wait,
not
don't
racy,
read it
they're not
yet.
all racy.
Oh no?
I don't know. Are there more instructions?
Well, let's-
or
like-
Are there more instructions?
No,
I didn't
just
really
read it.
read
Okay,
it.
Doug,
It's a
you
lot
go
of text.
first.
Oh,
We'll
just
go
gonna
around
go
the
down the
table.
line. I love Would You Rathers. Let's just do a whole episode of Would You Rather. Would you rather find out for certain there's no afterlife? There isn't. Or find out for certain there's no other intelligent life? This is dumb. There is intelligent life. There's no afterlife. What are we doing here? What's going on?
Wrong question, and I would definitely want to know if there's life on outside the universe, because I don't want to be eaten by worms.
I wanted to know about the intelligent life, but there is, and also there's no afterlife. Sorry, everybody. Sorry, religion
Okay.
and God.
Science.
Hashtag science. Go. Say.
Would you rather be the only person to have magic powers but not get never get to tell anyone, or live in a magic world where everyone, including you, has magic powers, but there's nothing special about you. But I have magic powers.
But you're not special because everyone else has them.
Yeah, but you have.
But I'm special in my own way.
Just pick one. Why are you looking at me like I made
Basically,
these?
would I want to be?
hell, Tito?
Would I want to be a wizard in the wizarding world, or would I rather be a closeted wizard in the normal world? Yeah. And I think I'm gonna have to go with. You know what? No, I want to have an edge over everyone. I want to have powers and not be able to tell anyone.
See? There
Yeah,
you
but
go.
if you can't tell anyone, can you then not use them either?
No, I'm gonna
people
use
can't
them
see
in ways they don't know.
You're like, it's like Harry Potter, I guess.
You now agree with me?
Not.
Yeah.
It's good.
You say it from my point of view now.
All right.
Hey, would you rather be the funniest person in a classroom or the smartest person at a party? I would be the funniest person at a party.
You can't do that.
That's totally what I was thinking. I was like, those are really hard. I can't do this one.
You can't. No,
Yes,
that's
I can.
not.
You gotta
Funniest
choose.
in the classroom or smartest at a party?
See, I'd rather be in a party.
Want to be a boring ass bitch at a party, or do you
No,
want
I want to be the funniest person.
a class
Funniest
clown?
person in
Yeah,
class clown.
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
You don't want to be.
who
Nobody likes
gets
the
laid
smartest
more?
I
person
can't
at
put
a
them
party.
together. That's not fair.
Who gets laid more?
Who cares?
Tito.
Would you rather explore space or explore the deep sea? Definitely space for sure.
Why?
Because space is cool and aliens are awesome.
Well, provided
If
you
they
can
don't
travel
kill you.
at like significantly faster
Yeah,
speeds than the
true.
speed
I
of
don't
light,
wanna
which can't
take,
actually
like,
happen.
50
So
years.
eventually you're just swimming.
I'd rather exist in no gravity than too much gravity.
Yeah.
Too much gravity is
Yeah.
scary.
Yeah. Either way, I
And you
think
know
you're
there's
screwed.
some weird shit going on in deep space. Like,
Yeah.
That nobody really
Yeah, like I
knows
just want to
about.
know what the hell's out there. There's so much to explore.
Right.
Okay, Jim. This is
All right.
This
is my first. This is a long one.
This is your
Inaugural.
We're popping your
debut.
Yeah.
It's actually a pretty good one too.
And
Would
it's
you
your
rather
cherry.
sit on stage while 100 people sing you happy birthday turn by turn,
my God.
or make a joke in front of 100 people and have no one laugh?
Oh.
So good for you.
I know my answer.
Okay. Have you ever told a joke in your set and have no one laugh?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I've bombed many times. Yeah. There's been some like really awkward ones, and looking back at them, I could see why the subject matter might not have been the best for some of them.
Is there one you could tell?
No, probably not. Like one of the ones, it was literally an anecdote. It was like a story that happened where I had approached a female at a bar, and she was like leaned up against the bar like this, and she was very cute, and I started chatting her up, and then I went to go shake her hand, and she leaned over and didn't have any hands.
She was an amputee.
She had if you in the stand-up community, she's a stand-up comic now, and so we laughed about it later, like much later, like a couple of years later. But yeah, that was.
So what was the joke?
That was what an
you were
awkward couple
trying
of
to
years.
tell?
So I was basically telling the whole story because it gets progressively worse from there because I was very nervous and kept the conversation like going, but just not in a good way. And so the story paints me in a very bad light, but people.
Well, welcome
did not
to
like
the
that
show
story.
now.
Yes, yeah.
A couple of years.
Well, okay. What was the? So what would you rather do?
I've done I would rather tell a joke and no one laugh because that
Sounds like it's just
The
over
thing would
sooner.
take too long.
yeah
Like,
I would
who's
I would
got that kind of
I would
time?
want to kill
That's
someone
300
after
minutes.
like the 30th happy birthday.
After like the
Right.
third.
Yeah.
Like,
Any song, not even happy birthday.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's enough.
Would you rather trip over nothing while walking in public,
Done that.
I did that today.
or realize you are walking in the wrong direction and have to do an awkward U-turn?
Oh, I hate that. I will literally keep walking so that I don't.
What's
miss
an,
it.
wait. What's an awkward? You're walking?
Like, let's
Why
say you
don't you
get
just, like, stop
on the
and turn
subway
around?
and like you know that you're supposed to go this way, but you turn this way, and you know everyone's watching you exit, and so
No
you
one's
don't.
watching
No,
me.
but you think they are, and you're
Yeah.
walking, and there's no reason for you to turn around, right? There's no.
'Cause then if
like,
you do, you
thing,
just look
there's
like
no
a
door.
dumbass
There's
or like
no
a weirdo.
whatever.
But you have a phone whip out. Something came up, turn around tactic, don't you?
Well, because there's the two. That's one. Yeah, you do
Okay.
that. Or if you do the
Yeah, I
trip
do
one,
that.
you look
Definitely
back
do
angrily
that.
at the sidewalk, like what the fuck sidewalk? Like
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
that
the
one,
two.
yes.
I don't understand this awkward U-turn thing. So,
Whereas I don't give a
You'd
fuck.
rather do that?
I'll walk in
would
circles
rather-
if I want.
like, okay, I'm walking. I think the exit for the subway is this way. Oh, I realize it's this way. I turn around and I go that way. Like,
Subway is unique. It's more on the street where like you'd look
You've
like
never
that guy.
stopped somewhere and been like, oh shit, I'm going the wrong way and turn around?
Totally. I'm doing it though.
but that's not
I'm like with
embarrassing.
my phone.
Okay. Yeah.
You need more shame.
It is for some people.
Yeah. Well,
For you,
Tito,
obviously.
I'm an anxious person.
I'll give you the number for a good therapist. Thank you, Tito, for today's midpoint. And now it's time for talking point number 2. What First Amendment? So, the Political Morning Consult put out a poll showing that 46% of registered voters, American voters, believe that major news organizations, CNN, NBC, ABC, they fabricate stories about Donald Trump. 46% of registered voters say that major news organizations
Same ones that voted.
fabricate stories about Donald Trump.
Sorry.
Of course, Trump then tweeted, "It is finally sinking in." So basically, he's saying that his fake news propaganda machine is working. And there were some other interesting, 39% of Americans support allowing Congress to stop the news media from reporting on any issue of national security without government approval.
Ridiculous.
And a Newseum Institute poll found that 23% of Americans think the First Amendment goes too far.
Okay, first things first. Whoever named Newseum Institute needs points. I think that's genius. That's great.
I've been to the museum.
That must have been
It's
like a eureka moment.
The museum is a great museum, all about
Yeah.
the news, and yeah, it's great.
And
But-
EMs.
Oh my god, it's about news. I thought it was about new things.
No, it's about the news. It's like the history of
awesome.
journalism.
Yeah.
It's in Washington, D.C. Okay, so
Which
I
one do
think
we wanna
we
do
all
first?
agree this is not good. It also, and I forget the number, but there's a certain percentage that can't even name one of the protections in the First Amendment.
Okay, I'm not American.
Yeah, I mean, I'm. If people are buying into this, how do we react? How do we respond?
It's like reacting to like large numbers of stupid people. Like
Okay,
there's a,
okay.
It's like to me like being that like obviously it's a huge combination of things, but at this point to me it's like a public health issue. You know what I mean? Like it's like there needs to be
an education-
way
okay,
it's
an
an education
education
issue.
Okay.
Needs to be like a whole bunch. Of
Okay,
shit.
here's
Yeah.
the question. Okay, because I've heard people say, "Well, these are stupid people."
Yeah.
Okay,
I know it doesn't help anything.
They're
but-
ignorant
that's my
people.
question.
Yeah.
You ultimately need these 46% to change their mind.
Yeah.
Because apparently in the States, winning 54% of the vote does not win you the election.
Well, that is correct. Electoral college, that's a whole other issue. But the question is,
Stupid Alexander Hamilton.
if you're calling, a good musical though, if you are calling Trump supporters stupid, deplorable, are you ever going to win the argument? Are you ever going to get these people on your side?
I don't think you ever will, even if you were to be like, oh, you're smart, but you might be wrong on this. Just because they're not going to admit that they're wrong, because and there have been studies that the more you prove that they're wrong, the more they dig in
Yeah.
into their belief. And so there's no sense in changing their minds. And so if you're going that route, then
Because it's not
forget it.
rational.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
not at all rational. That's where
Yeah.
I like fail to commit. Like here's the thing. A lot of what Trump does and a lot of how Trump like composes himself as an administration and as a person, whatever, I've seen it in countries that are not doing so hot right now. Like that a lot of what Trump does now is literally word for word, not word for word, but like, you know, exactly the same what Hosni Mubarak used to do when he was a dictator for 40 years. Like when you say, oh, the media is like on to me and they're publishing fake shit about me or whatever. Like Hosni Mubarak used to, like if other people run for the election, 2 of them would die. One of them would have like 20 kilograms of cocaine in their apartment suddenly, and he would win the election.
This idea
You know what
of
I mean?
the government approving or disapproving national security reporting, I mean, that's Putin, that's Kim Jong-un. That's,
Yeah, so people who
And
are
they already
pro
have
that,
that kind
to me,
of
like,
control
yeah,
with
and
classified and
I've
non-classified
yeah,
documents.
I've
you know what
seen
I mean?
like where this is going, and at this point, I'm just like, it's funny because I'm just like, y'all are just doing exactly what my country used to do, and that's why I moved. That's why I immigrated to run away from this shit.
And some of the things
And
that
some people are letting it happen in the name of making the country better, which is like even more.
And I'm going to ask a question. I'm the only American on this panel. Can you name one of the protections in the First Amendment, the American First Amendment to the Constitution?
That you should not, you will not be persecuted. Yeah, freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech, yeah.
And there's
Right.
a third one.
But the reason why I asked that is because I thought it was kind of common knowledge. Freedom of speech.
Well, I
freedom
mean,
of
like the
press.
big one that
That's
you guys
the-
have is the Second Amendment. That's the one that everyone
Well,
talks
I
about.
also think it's interesting that there's so much hatred for the First Amendment.
Yeah.
And yet love for the Second Amendment.
Yeah, exactly.
It's usually the same people too.
Right.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Solve everything with guns, apparently, right?
And I don't know how to. I mean, to a certain degree, I guess I blame the educational system because that's where I mean, as a kid is when I learned the First Amendment. And
Yeah. It's not. I don't think it's an issue of First Amendment. There's like, it depends on what context you apply free speech for. So a lot of people are like, well, Nazis are, that's their First Amendment right to express their views. I'm like, at what point, where do you draw the line, etc. First Amendment is about how you get to say whatever you want without the government coming after you, not other people. You know what I mean? Other people will come after you all the time. They'll fire you. They'll maybe beat you up. They will. If you come in here and you start calling me all kinds of shit in the name of that, you're gonna get you're gonna shit teeth. You know what I mean? If you're saying shit I don't like.
Yeah.
But I don't give a shit about your free speech because I'm not the government.
And frankly, I mean, my personal view is that they go a little far in the States, frankly, with the free speech. Like, we have hate speech laws here. And
In Canada.
in Canada, and there's absolutely
but
no
there's-
reason.
and the consensus
and
is don't be
it's
an
not a
asshole.
slippery slope. It is not a thing where like I can't say horrible things about large groups of people and blah blah blah. And it's sort of like, oh no, the government's
But
like
there are limits
clamping
in
down
there
on
are
my
limits
freedom.
in the States too. You can't yell fire in a crowded theater.
Yes.
That's the common
Can't say
example.
bomb in
Yeah,
an
you can. I
airport.
mean, there are limits to
Yeah,
free speech. It's
that's
just
a
a
different-
different. It's.
But those are
the
stupid
line.
limits in the
The
same
line
way.
in the U.S. and Canada is different, but there's still the concept, the bedrock principle of the freedom of speech.
It's not-
and for
that's-
people,
that-
for Americans to be questioning whether or not there should be freedom of speech, and the government should be
Because it's all a
monitoring
lack
the
of
press,
education.
I think that is incredibly scary.
That's
okay,
so
so
terrifying.
I need something to cheer me up. Tito Bop of the Week.
Bob of the week is
We're all gonna die by
Rita
Lupe
Ora.
Fiasco.
Climate
And it's
change
called
doesn't exist.
Anywhere.
Wait,
It's
say it again.
So good. Rita Ora. Anywhere.
You're obsessed with Rita Ora.
She releases bops all the time.
There you
Filmed
go.
it in New York and the video, and it's so good.
Cool. Well, thank you, Tito. Thank you for joining us again. Of course, if you're watching us on YouTube, please subscribe to us on our channel. Press the red button. Costs you nothing. Helps us greatly. Of course, our crowdfunding site is on Patreon, patreon.com/thepointguys. Our audio podcast is on iTunes. Check us out there if you need to take us on the go. Look for us on iTunes. We're also available on Reverie, the world's largest LGBTQ online streaming service. Check us out there as well as all of their content. They have a lot of content there and other original content. That's reverie.tv. Our website for all things The Point, thepointguys.net. And of course, you can email us, contact us, tell us what you think, thepointguys@gmail.com. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. We have a new show every Tuesday, so we will see you next Tuesday.
See you next Tuesday. I totally didn't know we were syncing that.
On The Point.
Yes.